A refrigerator killed me on the day I finally learned to cook. 10 breaths later, a crystal in another world announced that I had zero battle spirit. The crystal announced it loudly. It spoke above the Academy court, where 3,000 people watched 100 new heroes receive their first rank. The number 0 appeared in red light over my head. For one full breath, the court was silent. Then, everyone laughed. I looked at the crystal. The crystal looked like a blue egg. I had been killed by a refrigerator and insulted by an egg that morning. My new life had started with impressive speed. Jarek walked in front of the line. His red cape was so wide that it entered the court before he did. His battle spirit had measured 87. The Academy had given him a rare Fire Lancer card, a private room, and a starting grant of 50 gold coins. He stopped beside me and raised his card for the crowd. "The crystal must be tired," he said. It forgot to measure him. The laughter became louder. I did not answer. A man who wore that much red was already fighting a difficult battle against curtains. Headmaster Oven climbed the central platform. He was a broad man with gray hair and a voice trained to reach the back of a battlefield. "The Academy cannot invest public money in a hero with no combat spirit," he said. He removed my silver belt before the crowd. Then he took the key to my room and handed it to an assistant. "Terran will receive no housing, no meal allowance, and no starting grant. He will not enter the combat card hall. If he fails the basic qualification before sunset, his hero title will be cancelled." The crystal mirrors carried his words through the city. Before Oven finished, a betting board placed my chance of lasting a day at 1 in 100. "That seems generous," Jarek said. The people near him laughed because he was first in the ranking, and laughter followed power like a small dog. Oven pointed toward a wooden crate beside the platform. "He may take one rejected card. Even an unranked candidate deserves the appearance of a choice." The injustice was clean, legal, and public. One red number had decided that I was worthless, and the Academy wanted the whole city to learn it. I walked to the crate. Broken cards lay inside it. At the bottom, I found a plain brown card. It showed an older man holding a wooden square. His clothes were patched. He had no armor and no weapon. The faded letters named him Gavin, a common carpenter of the first level. His battle value was 2. Jarek leaned over my shoulder. "Perfect," he said. "If the monsters do not kill you, he can build your coffin." The crowd laughed again. I chose Gavin. The card became warm in my hand. Brown light touched the stone, and a lean man with gray in his beard appeared beside me. He carried a wooden square, a short hammer, and a bag containing 7 bent nails. He looked at the golden court. He looked at the laughing heroes. Then he looked at me. "What do you need built?" he asked. Before I could answer, a clear voice spoke inside my head. It told me that a hero with no combat spirit could not support a battle class. Because my spirit was empty, it had accepted a hidden command class instead. Its first name was Lord of Professions. The class gave me one ability. As long as one willing master remained under my command, every compatible summon could learn the basic form of that master's profession. The same link would allow a related building to function. The voice called the ability Shared Profession. No sword skill or secret fire appeared. I had one carpenter and the power to make more. The world called it useless. The world was wrong. In this kingdom, a summon never changed. A wolf remained a wolf, and a worker remained a worker until death. Every card price depended on that rule. My one ability broke it. I turned to Gavin. "Do you want to work with me?" I asked. His eyebrows rose. "You summoned me." That was not my question. The nearest students stopped laughing. Summons were usually ordered before their feet touched the floor. Gavin studied my face for several breaths. "I want honest work, hot food, and the right to complain about bad wood." "Agreed. Then I will work with you." The link settled into place. I felt it as a quiet pressure behind my eyes. The system voice told me that one carpenter was active. A carpenter workshop could now be opened after we gathered 80 pieces of usable timber and 12 iron fasteners. Someone dropped a metal tool behind us. A young woman in a dark green work coat was kneeling beside the rail of the card platform. A small wrench lay at her boots. Her brown hair was tied back, and a brass measuring lens covered one eye. She was not laughing. "You asked him," she said. "I did." "Nobody asks." Jarek heard her and smiled. "Alara, do not stand too close. Failure may be infectious." Alara picked up her wrench. Then your cape should be in quarantine. This time only a few people laughed. Yarek did not enjoy being part of the joke. The ceremony continued as if I had left. I had until sunset. No gold, 1 carpenter, 7 bent nails, and a public chance of success equal to 1 in 100. That was enough to begin. The rejected card yard stood behind the academy kitchens. Blank worker cards were stacked there beside broken furniture and training equipment. Each worker card cost 1 gold coin because nobody wanted a summon with a battle value of 1. I did not have 1 gold coin. Gavin walked through the waste piles in silence. He tapped boards, smelled old beams, and rejected most of them with the cold anger of a man being shown burnt bread. "Who cut this?" he asked, holding up a twisted plank. "I do not know." "They should apologize to the tree." Alara had followed us from the court. Gavin found 86 usable pieces of timber. I carried the lighter boards. Alara operated a rusted cutting wheel after making me promise that I would not put my fingers near it. We used 12 fasteners pulled from 3 broken beds. Before noon, Gavin had built 2 folding cargo frames. They looked simple. Then he opened the first one. 6 wooden ribs spread from a flat bundle and locked into a strong square frame. A merchant could carry it on a cart and assemble it in seconds. Alara stared at the joints. "The City Freight Guild pays 10 gold for frames worse than these." "Where is the Freight Guild?" I asked. She smiled for the first time. 20 minutes later, a freight merchant paid exactly 20 gold for both frames. She tested each joint twice. Then she asked how many we could make by winter. "Ask me tomorrow," I said. I took the 20 gold back to the rejected card yard. 8 blank worker cards cost 8 gold. Food for the day cost another 2. 10 gold remained in my pocket. The yardkeeper warned me that blank workers could never gain a profession. Ilara told him to complete the sale. 2 kitchen workers and a delivery boy stopped to watch. I summoned all 8 workers. They appeared in a row. They were men of different ages, dressed in the same gray tunics. Each had a battle value of 1. None carried more than a small knife and a coil of rope. I asked each man the same question I had asked Gavin. Every one of them agreed to work for food, shelter, a share of profit, and the right to leave. The last agreement completed the link. Gavin placed a square beam on 2 blocks. "Watch my hands," he said. He marked 1 line. He cut 1 slot. He turned the beam and cut a second slot at a precise angle. It was a basic locking joint, but a new apprentice usually needed several days to make it cleanly. 8 workers knelt beside 8 scraps of wood. They moved together. 8 lines appeared. 8 knives cut, 8 pieces turned. The joints slid together with 1 dry sound. The delivery boy let go of his handcart. It rolled backward into a barrel of onions. The yardkeeper cleaned his spectacles, but the joints remained perfect. Alara picked up 1 piece and tried to pull it apart. "They learned it," she whispered. "They learned the basic skill," I said. "Gavin is still the master." The system voice confirmed the numbers. I now commanded 9 active summons. Their raw combined battle value was 10. After the carpenter training and proper tools, their working value had become 36. That was not enough to fight a trained hero. It was enough to build something that could. By the time we raised the workshop roof, more than 60 students were watching through the fence. Nobody laughed. We spent the afternoon building 12 training shields. Gavin designed them with layered boards and replaceable rims. The workers produced them in a line. 1 cut, 1 shaped, 1 fitted, 1 checked. The work moved from hand to hand like water through a channel. The freight merchant returned and bought all 12 shields for 2 gold each. My money rose from 10 gold to 34. At that moment, a bell rang over the academy. My qualification had been scheduled. More than 300 students filled the training court. The city mirror showed our entrance on a wall of blue light. The blackboard still gave me a chance of 1 in 100. Jarek stood beside the arena with his firewolf. The animal was as large as a horse. Flames moved along its back, and its teeth glowed orange. "You came," Jarek said. The bell was loud. "Your test is simple. Keep the bronze tusk boar behind the white line for 3 minutes. You may use your summons and anything they can carry into the court." The gate behind him shook. Something heavy struck it from the other side. Jarek looked at our folded frames and wooden panels. "I will add 20 gold to your funeral fund. The boar will cross the line before 1 minute passes." "Will the academy record the bet?" I asked. The crowd made a low sound. Jarek smiled because he thought I was desperate. Record it. Owen sat in the high judge's chair. Ilara stood near the rail with her measuring lens. The yard keeper, the merchant, and the delivery boy had all found places among the witnesses. The academy clerk wrote the wager into the public record. We carried our materials into the arena. The crowd began laughing again. 9 men with wooden panels looked less like an army and more like a furniture delivery. Gavin raised his hammer. The workers opened the frames. In 18 seconds, the flat bundles became 2 angled walls. In another 12, the layered shields locked between them. A narrow path formed from the monster gate toward the center of the court. It bent 3 times and ended in a square pen. The laughter weakened. The crystal measured the structure, the trained workers, and the force they could control together. Our official battle value rose from 10 to 72. The red number appeared above the arena. The crowd became silent so quickly that I heard Jarek's wolf sneeze. Owen leaned forward. Release the boar. The iron gate opened. The bronze tusk boar charged like a dining table that had become angry. It weighed more than 5 men. Metal covered its head and shoulders. Its tusks could cut a shield in half. It hit the first angled wall. The wall turned on a wooden pin. The boar did not stop. Its own speed sent it down the narrow path. It struck the second corner. That wall turned too. The animal ran left, then right, then directly into the square pen. Gavin dropped his hammer. 8 locks closed at once. The whole trap shook. The wood screamed. One worker fell when a beam jumped and struck his shoulder. Ilara gripped the rail. The boar backed up for another charge. Jarek's smile returned. It will break. He was right. One wall split from top to bottom. There were still 2 minutes left. Jarek lifted his card. My wolf can end this before someone dies. The test is mine, I said. He summoned the fire wolf anyway. It jumped over the white line and ran toward the pen. The crowd cheered for the famous first-ranked hero. Flames spread from its paws. The broken wall caught fire. I gave one order. Second frame. The workers pulled a rope buried under the sand. The outer corridor folded inward. 4 panels closed around the wolf beside the boar pen. Both animals stopped and stared at each other through a narrow gap. The wolf's flames went low. It looked embarrassed. The crowd did not breathe. Jarek ran into the arena. Move aside! His wide cape caught in the final locking arm. The frame turned. Jarek spun once and landed on his back outside the white line. His cape stayed inside, hanging beside his trapped wolf like a red curtain. The 3-minute bell rang. The court exploded with noise. Students stood on the benches. The delivery boy shouted until his voice broke. Even 2 judges covered their faces. The city betting board erased the chance of 1 in 100. A new line appeared. Terran had passed with a battle value of 72. Owen could not cancel the result. The judges, the crystal mirrors, and more than 300 witnesses had seen it. Qualification complete, he said. Jarek pulled himself up. Sand covered his hair. One corner of his cape was still burning. He stared at me for a long moment. Anger came first, then fear. His first rank had been the only thing between his family and a large medical debt. I learned that later. At that moment, he only looked like a red bird that had flown into a window. He paid the 20 gold in front of the academy clerk. My money rose from 34 gold to 54. The ranking board placed me 61st among 100 candidates. 7 students who had laughed in the morning ordered our shields. 3 merchants sent offers. A food stall renamed its pork sandwich the Carpenter's Victory and doubled the price. Jarek remained first, but nobody laughed when I walked past him. We returned to the workshop after sunset. The academy gave us part of the defeated boar as a qualification reward. Gavin roasted thick pieces over a low fire. The fat became crisp at the edges. Ilara cut potatoes and onions, then cooked them under the meat until they absorbed the salt, garlic, and hot juice. The injured worker sat with his shoulder wrapped. We had no alchemist, so the kitchen nurse had treated him. He could lift his arm, but Gavin ordered him to rest. We ate around a table made from the last good boards. The bread was warm. The potatoes broke under the fork. The meat had a dark crust and a soft center. Gavin ate 3 portions. He said this proved the workshop had a strong foundation. Ilara sat across from me. You could have ordered the workers into the boar's path, she said. Then I would have lost workers. Most commanders would call that an acceptable cost. Most commanders cannot count. She smiled into her cup. After the meal, Gavin moved the table to repair one leg. His hammer struck the floor. The sound was hollow. He removed 3 boards. Beneath them lay a sheet of black metal covered in silver construction lines. Alara dropped to her knees. Her brass lens opened by itself. The lines formed the academy. I recognized the courts, the towers, and the outer walls. But the doors all faced inward. The corridors narrowed toward the center. 12 heavy lines crossed the grounds like bars. At the middle was a sealed chamber marked with the symbol of a chained hammer. Alara touched a faded name beside it. Corvin, she whispered. The first architect. My ancestor. Gavin traced the outer wall with one finger. His face lost all humor. This was not designed as a school, he said. It was designed as a cage. The second day began with 30 people waiting outside our workshop. Some wanted shields. Some wanted to see the workers who had trapped Jarek's firewolf. One old man brought a piece of broken furniture and asked if Gavin could make it brave. Rumors had moved faster than sleep. The city boards showed my rank at 61st. The betting stalls had changed my chance of surviving the first month from 1 in 100 to 1 in 6. A sketch of Jarek hanging from his own cape had appeared on the academy notice wall. It was not a good sketch, but it understood the important parts. Jarek tore it down while we watched. Enjoy one victory, he told me. The team trial begins in 2 days. Wooden walls will not defeat an iron golem. Then I need iron. His smile weakened. He had expected fear. I gave him a shopping list. The academy armory controlled every legal weapon sold to a student. Its master was Malric, a square man with a square beard and a square gold buckle. He inspected our shields in front of the morning crowd. Unlicensed military goods, he said. Dangerous. One of his assistants struck a shield with a training sword. The blade bounced away and hit the assistant's helmet. Malric did not look at him. Very dangerous, he repeated. He offered me access to the academy forge. In return, he wanted 70% of everything my summons produced. He also wanted ownership of every design Gavin created. You can keep 30%, he said. That is more than a failed hero deserves. More than 40 students heard him. 2 merchants waited behind us. The freight merchant had brought a contract and a box of sweet rolls. Malric wanted witnesses because he expected me to accept. How much for scrap iron? I asked. His beard moved before the rest of his face. You cannot operate a forge. That was not my question. Malric pointed to a pile behind the armory. Bent swords, cracked helmets, and damaged wagon parts had been thrown together under a canvas sheet. 12 gold for the pile, 5 more for old coal. Pay now and do not bring it back. I paid 17 gold. The watching merchants began whispering. I had refused the academy monopoly and spent almost a third of my money on metal nobody wanted. Malric smiled again. When you fail, I will buy your workshop for 10 gold. The door is worth 12. The students laughed. Malric did not. Ilara guided us to the bonded work hall beneath the western tower. The academy stored rare worker cards there until a combat hero bought them. Most had waited for years. Battle heroes wanted dragons, knights, and creatures with enough teeth to fill a bucket. Nobody wanted a man who could repair a cooking pot. We found Sten inside a dark iron card. He was a blacksmith of the first level. His battle value was 4. The release price attached to his contract was 25 gold. The price is too high, Ilara said quietly. They know you need him. The clerk behind the desk smiled. Malric had reached the hall before us. I placed 25 gold on the counter. That left 12. I spent 6 on 6 more blank worker cards. 3 bought food. I returned to the workshop with 3 gold, a blacksmith card, 6 workers, a hill of bad iron, and enough coal to make one serious attempt. Gavin looked at the metal. The people who cut my wood have started working with iron. We summoned Sten beside the cold furnace. He appeared with thick arms, a burned leather apron, and a hammer head without a handle. His first act in the world was to pick up a broken sword from the scrap pile. He bent it between 2 fingers. This metal has been watered down, he said. Can you use it? I asked. Can you use muddy water? If I am thirsty enough. Sten looked at me, then at Gavin's new workshop. Who owns the work I make? You own your skill. We divide profit after material and food costs. You may leave when you choose. And if I say the iron is bad, I will believe you. He struck the sword against the table. It broke in half. The iron is bad. I believe you. Sten agreed to join. The shared profession link opened for the second time. The system voice told me that one willing blacksmith was active. A forge could operate if we built a stone bed, a bellows, an anvil base, and a safe chimney. Gavin smiled. For the next 2 hours, carpentry built the forge that blacksmithing needed. The first 9 workers shaped beams and bellows boards. The 6 new workers carried stone. Ilara repaired an old air pipe. Sten watched every joint and complained so steadily that I knew he was happy. When the fire finally rose, all 15 common workers stood around the anvil. Sten heated one strip of iron. He showed them how to read its color, how to find weak metal, and how to move a hammer without wasting force. The workers copied him. Their hands changed. Their stance became wider. They began to hear differences in the ring of metal. The first 9 did not lose their carpenter skill. They kept both professions. That was the second surprise hidden inside my one ability. A fixed summon could not only learn, it could combine what it learned. A carpenter who understood iron could build a stronger shield. A blacksmith who understood joints could make a weapon with parts that could be replaced in the field. Ilara held one finished hammer in both hands. Every guild in the kingdom keeps these skills separate. Separate guilds charge separate fees, Sten said. Gavin nodded. And separate workers blame each other. For a moment, the 2 masters looked at the same badly cut hammer handle. Then both blamed the worker who had made it. The worker made a better one. Our raw force had risen only a little. We now had 16 active summons. But after the workers learned smithing and received proper tools, the Academy crystal measured our combined battle value at 240. The number appeared over the workshop roof. A bowl fell from the kitchen window across the yard. The cook leaned out, stared at the number, and dropped a second bowl. Within an hour, the line outside our door stretched past the waste yard. Students brought broken swords. Guards brought dented helmets. Merchants brought contracts. Malric sent 3 inspectors and a message saying all sales must stop. I read the message aloud where everyone could hear. Then Sten split another Academy sword with one hammer strike. The line became louder. We had enough bad iron for 24 spearheads. Sten taught the workers to fold the stronger pieces around a softer core. Gavin fitted straight ash shafts. 16 spears stayed with us. We sold 8 for 5 gold each. Simple hinges, nails, and repair plates brought another 36 gold. My money rose from 3 gold to 79. Malric arrived before noon with 4 guards and an Academy iron golem. The golem stood twice as tall as a man. Heavy plates covered its body. A round shield was fixed to one arm, and a flat training blade filled the other. Steam escaped its neck with every step. Behind it came students, merchants, instructors, and 2 crystal mirror crews. More than 700 people filled the yard and the nearby roofs. Malric climbed onto a supply crate. The Academy protects students from false craftsmen, he announced. Terran claims that discarded workers can produce military weapons. He will prove it under legal inspection. Oven had signed the order. If our equipment failed, Malric could close the workshop and take every tool as payment for the inspection. If we passed, the Academy would pay 60 gold and certify our goods. Malric did not mention that part until Ilara read the entire order aloud. The crowd liked her version more. The test required my team to stop the golem without crossing the red circle around the workshop. Malric controlled the machine. He had chosen a fight in a space he believed was too small for our walls. I looked at Sten. How good is the golem? He listened to its steps. The plates are thick, the pins are cheap. Gavin looked at the knees. The joints were designed by a man who hated repair work. Can we stop it? Sten lifted his new hammer. We can improve it. Malric ordered the golem forward. It hit our first shield line. 5 workers slid across the dirt, but the layered boards held. The golem raised its blade. 3 carpenter blacksmiths pushed long wooden wedges under its front foot. 2 others struck the knee pins from opposite sides. The first pin bent but did not move. The golem kicked. 1 worker flew into a stack of timber. The crowd shouted. Ilara started forward, but Gavin raised one hand. The worker rolled, stood, and lifted his shield again. Malric laughed from his crate. Workers are not soldiers. Correct, I said. Soldiers usually break things. I gave the next order. Repair team. 4 workers ran behind the golem. They were not attacking its armor. They opened the small service latches along its back. Their carpenter skill found the panel joints. Their smithing skill identified the heated locking rods. One rod came free. Steam burst from the golem's shoulder. Its sword arm dropped. The crowd made one enormous sound. Malric struck the control lever. The golem spun. Its shield caught two workers and pushed them toward the red line. Gavin drove a folding brace into the dirt. The workers caught it. Their boots stopped one handspan before the boundary. Sten reached the bent knee pin. He struck once. The sound rang across the yard. He struck twice. The pin moved. He struck a third time. The golem's left leg separated below the knee. The machine fell without grace. It landed face first, drove its blade into the ground, and remained there with its rear plate raised toward Malric. For 1 second, nobody spoke. Then the kitchen cook shouted, "Improved!" 700 people laughed. Malric jumped down from the crate. His square buckle opened, his belt fell around his boots, and he nearly joined the golem on the ground. The mirror crews moved closer. Sten removed one of the broken pins and held it up. "This is mixed iron," he said. "Half the proper strength." Alara used her lens. The inspection crystal repeated the result in blue light. Students began drawing academy swords from their belts. They struck the blades against the stone. 4 cracked, 1 snapped. The noise in the yard changed from laughter to anger. Malric's monopoly had sold weak weapons for 3 years. He climbed back onto the crate. His face had become pale. "The storehouse employs 70 families," he said. "The academy cut our metal budget and doubled our quota. If I admitted the alloy was weak, the contract would close. Those families would lose everything." It was a reason. It was not an excuse. "Then tell the truth in front of them," I said. "Stop charging students for steel you did not give them. My forge can train your workers to repair what remains." Malric looked at the angry students, the merchants, and the crystal mirrors. He had arranged the audience. Now the audience belonged to the truth. He admitted the false alloy. Oven suspended his exclusive contract before the entire city. Malric had to refund every student whose weapon failed inspection. Then he had to ask Sten, the worker he had left in a dark card for years, to certify the new metal. Sten made him ask twice because the first request did not contain the word "please." Our workshop received legal certification and the promised 60 gold. The workers used the golem's undamaged plates to build a freight cart. They placed Malric's broken weapons on it and rolled them back to his storehouse. The crowd followed the cart like a parade. My money rose from 79 gold to 139. The Academy board raised my rank from 61st to 18th. Our battle value remained 240, but our certified production value exceeded every first-year team. Jarek watched the new number from beneath the board. He had not laughed during the test. "The team trial still measures combat," he said. "Then bring a strong weapon." He looked at his academy spear. A thin crack ran beside the blade. "How much for a new one?" 5 gold. "You sold the others for 5. That was before you trapped my wolf in a fire." He signed a debt for 7. That evening we cooked in front of the forge. Gavin filled a heavy pot with beef, onions, carrots, and dark broth. Sten added too much pepper. Alara added potatoes. The stew simmered until the meat separated under a spoon. We ate it with thick slices of bread rubbed with garlic and toasted against the hot stone. The injured workers were bruised but walking. We gave them the largest bowls. Sten sat beside the anvil and turned his first good hammer in his hands. "Tomorrow," he said, "I will show them how to make proper rivets." "Tomorrow you will sleep until sunrise," Gavin said. "That is what I said." Alara laughed. Firelight reflected from the brass lens resting beside her plate. She had worked with us for most of 2 days, yet Oven still paid her as an academy engineer. Sten took the empty kettle to the rear pump. "My family kept stories about Corvin," she said. "They said he built the academy to protect the kingdom. Nobody mentioned a cage." "We will open the chamber," I said. "Oven will stop us. Then we will need a better door." She looked at me across the steam from the stew. "You say impossible things as if they are items on a list." "Lists are useful." The forge fire vanished. It did not fade. One moment it burned orange. The next moment the coal was black and cold. Every repaired sword on the rack lost its blue certification glow. The system voice spoke inside my head. The number of active blacksmith masters had fallen from 1 to 0. The forge was locked. All unfinished blacksmith production had stopped. Sten's bowl lay beside the anvil. His chair was empty. We found his hammer outside the rear door. A strip of academy binding cloth was tied around the handle. Under it was an order bearing Oven's seal. The words were simple. The Royal Summoning Academy had recovered its property. The third day began with my army losing strength. Without Sten, the workers remembered how to hold a hammer, but the shared profession link no longer supported their smithing. The forge would not heat. Unfinished spearheads remained dull and soft. Our certified battle value fell from 240 to 168. The drop appeared on every ranking board in the city. People who had praised us the night before began changing their bets. 3 merchants canceled orders before breakfast. Malric's former assistants reopened their armory stall and raised their prices. The world had seen how quickly my army could grow. Now it saw the price. One profession needed one unique master. There was no second blacksmith hidden in the skill. I could not copy Sten, replace him with a blank worker, or order the system to ignore his absence. If he died, the forge could remain cold for years. Gavin held the academy order over the dead coals. "We should build a larger hammer," he said. "For the door?" Alara asked. "For Oven." "We will try the door first," I said. The property hall stood under the central tower. More than 200 students followed us there. News of Sten's capture had reached the notice boards, and people wanted to see whether the fast-rising failed hero would surrender. Oven waited on the hall steps with 6 guards. Sten stood behind him inside a silver binding circle. Chains of light held his wrists. The blacksmith looked at me. "The iron here is still bad," he called. One guard pulled the chain tighter. The crowd began murmuring. I showed Oven the release record. "I paid 25 gold. "You paid for temporary command rights," he said. "The Academy retains emergency ownership of every specialist released from the bonded hall." Alara opened a legal book she had borrowed from the records office. "Only if the commander fails to register an independent team." Oven turned toward her. "You are an Academy engineer. That is why I can read Academy rules." People in the crowd laughed. Oven waited until they stopped. "Terran has not completed the team trial. His group is not an independent team. The Empire increased our weapon quota yesterday. Steen will work in the central forge until that quota is met." "He does not agree," I said. Oven's expression became hard. "Summons are national assets. Their agreement is not required." The crystal mirrors above the steps carried his answer through the city. That was his mistake. The students near Sten stopped looking at him as a card. They had watched him laugh, complain, cook, and repair their weapons. A thing did not demand proper iron. A thing did not make Malric say please. Oven heard the crowd change. He raised one hand. "There is a legal solution. Complete the team trial today. If the ranking crystal accepts your command, the Academy will recognize your contracts." "The trial is scheduled for tomorrow," Alara said. "Then Terran will save time." Oven had chosen the Western Poison Gallery. A team had to cross 3 underground halls, recover a silver banner, and return within 30 minutes. The gallery was normally closed because old gas pipes ran behind its walls. The headmaster had found an obstacle that walls and spears could not solve. I accepted. The crowd reacted in 2 waves. The first was shock. The second was movement toward the betting boards. Our chance fell to 1 in 12. Alara caught my sleeve as we left the steps. "Carpenters cannot stop poison." "Correct." "The forge is locked." "Correct." "You have 4 hours." "Then we need an alchemist who works quickly." She stared at me. "I know one." The medicinal card vault smelled of dust and bitter leaves. Healing specialists were valuable, but the woman Alara showed me had refused 12 commanders. Her card rested alone in a glass case. Siva was an alchemist of the 2nd level. She had a gray streak in her black hair and a look that made the painted figure on her card seem disappointed in me. Her release contract cost 40 gold. The clerk warned me that she had thrown a potion at her last buyer. "Was it poison?" I asked. "Soap." "Why?" "He needed it." I paid the 40 gold. Siva appeared in the workshop beside 3 empty tables. She wore a dark blue coat and carried a case of small glass tools. She looked at the cold forge, the wounded workers, and the line of dirty bowls from breakfast. "Which disaster am I treating first?" she asked. I explained the contract, the trial, and the shared profession link. Then I asked whether she wanted to join. "What happens if I refuse?" "I lose the trial and find another plan." "What happens if I accept?" "You control the laboratory." "You receive a share of sales," Nobody drinks anything you make without your permission. Siva pointed at the breakfast bowls. And those are washed. Agreed. Every worker moved toward the bowls. Siva joined. The third profession completed a new stage of my class. The system voice changed its name from Lord of Professions to Commander of Summons. The ability itself did not change. One willing master still taught one basic profession. The new title only described what the workshop had become. Siva showed the workers how to measure drops, control heat, and recognize dangerous color changes. Shared Profession carried the basic skill to every compatible summon. 15 men who had learned wood and iron began arranging bottles with exact hands. One worker reached toward a purple liquid. Siva struck the table with a spoon. Touch that, and your grandchildren will be born bald. The worker pulled his hand back. I do not have children. Then think how confused they will be. Nobody touched the purple liquid. I spent 30 gold on herbs, 20 on glass, and 9 on filter cloth, salt, and lamp oil. After buying Siva's contract and the supplies, 40 gold remained. Gavin built shelves and a vented roof. The workers fitted glass pipes through wooden braces. In less than 2 hours, the system recognized a basic alchemy laboratory. Siva produced 30 red recovery bottles, 12 gray smoke globes, and 6 green gas neutralizers. We sold 20 recovery bottles to the city guard for 6 gold each. The sale brought 120 gold. I kept the rest for the trial. Our effective battle value rose from 168 to 420. The number appeared above the workshop. This time the kitchen cook held both bowls against his chest. The cancelled merchants returned. The betting boards changed our chance from 1 in 12 to 1 in 3. A crowd began walking toward the western gallery 2 hours before the trial. Oven moved the starting time forward again. When we arrived, Jarek and his fire team were already inside the first hall. The headmaster added a control team, Alara said. He wants a comparison. Oven stood before the main mirror with Sten still bound beside him. More than 1,000 people watched from the underground seats in the city halls. Jarek will demonstrate the proper use of combat summons, Oven announced. Terran's workers will follow. The western gate closed behind us. The first gallery was a long stone room with cracked pipes along the ceiling. Jarek's firewolf and 6 spear summons were 50 steps ahead. They moved quickly. The crowd cheered each time his rank symbol flashed on the mirror. Gavin touched a support beam. The ceiling is under pressure. Alara inspected a pipe with her lens. There is gas behind this wall. I raised a green neutralizer. Jarek looked back at us. Try not to get lost. His wolf struck the second gate with a burning paw. The gate opened. Blue gas rolled across the floor. The wolf's flame touched it. The explosion lifted the animal into the air. Stone broke from the ceiling. 3 of Jarek's summons vanished under a falling beam. The second gate slammed shut, trapping his team between the gas and the collapse. The audience screamed through the mirror hall. Oven ordered the trial stopped, but the western entrance had locked after the explosion. His guards pulled at the mechanism. It did not move. The ranking crystal began counting casualties. Jarek's firewolf lay against the wall. Its flames were almost gone. Jarek tried to lift the beam from his summons. He could not move it. Masks, I ordered. The workers soaked filter cloth with Siva's neutralizer and tied it over their faces. 6 drank recovery potion. 4 carried folding braces. The rest took ropes and shields. Siva handed me a mask. If you remove this, I will bring you back and kill you myself. Clear. We entered the gas. The mirror followed us. Every person in the city saw 15 discarded workers walk past the fallen combat summons. The first support cracked above our heads. Gavin marked 3 points. The carpenter teams raised braces. Their iron fittings held because Sten had taught them before he was taken. The blacksmith link was gone, but the things he had already helped us make remained real. We reached Jarek. His eyes were red from the gas. The banner is beyond the next door, he said. The trial is over. If neither team brings it back, Oven keeps Sten. Even half-blind, Jarek understood the contract. Save your people first, I said. We slid wooden rails under the fallen beam. 4 workers set iron rollers. Gavin counted. Everyone pushed together. The beam moved 1 handspan. 1 trapped spear summon crawled free. The ceiling groaned. The crowd in the mirror hall went silent. We pushed again. The second summon came out. His leg was broken. Siva poured recovery potion over the wound and fixed it between 2 narrow boards. The third summon did not move. Jarek dropped beside him. He is still linked. Siva checked his throat. Alive. Barely. The gas became darker. Our first neutralizer would last less than 5 minutes. I sent 3 workers toward the damaged pipe. They fitted a wooden plug, wrapped it in wet cloth, and locked an iron band around it. The flow weakened. Our army had used all 3 professions in one repair. The system measured the result. Our rescue value rose above 420 for the first time. The number filled the main mirror. The audience began chanting the count of survivors. 1, 2, 3. Jarek carried his injured summon toward the exit. I sent the others with him. What are you doing? He asked. Getting the banner. He looked at me as if the gas had damaged my mind. The next hall may collapse. Then we will be quick. Alara found a maintenance channel behind the sealed door. The workers cut a frame, passed through the wall, and opened the lock from the other side. Siva threw 2 smoke globes down the corridor. Gray vapor mixed with the blue gas and forced it toward the ceiling vents. We crossed the second hall with 3 minutes remaining. The silver banner stood on a stone platform. Beside it was a control wheel marked with Oven's seal. Alara froze. This valve was serviced yesterday. She held her brass lens over the mark. A maintenance record appeared in the mirror light. Oven had received a warning about gas pressure before he moved the trial forward. He had not caused the explosion. He had accepted the risk because he needed to take my blacksmith before the Imperial quota inspection. The entire city saw the record. I lifted the banner. We returned with 31 seconds left. The western gate opened to a wall of noise. Students climbed over the seats. Guards carried Jarek's injured summons towards Siva. The city board recorded that every trapped person had survived. Oven stood beside the mirror. His face looked older than it had that morning. I placed the silver banner at his feet. The team trial is complete. He could have denied it in an empty room. He could not deny it before 1,000 witnesses and every active city mirror. The ranking crystal recognized my independent command. My place rose from 18th to 5th. The city guard paid a rescue reward of 160 gold. My money rose from 160 to 320. Oven released Sten. The chains vanished. At once I felt the blacksmith link return. Far across the academy, the forge fire ignited with enough force to throw its chimney cap into the air. The kitchen cook finally dropped both bowls. Sten rubbed his wrists and faced Oven. You called me property. Oven looked at the crowd. His academy faced an imperial quota. If he failed, hundreds of workers could lose their wages and the city could lose its defense grant. He had told himself that one blacksmith was a smaller cost. Now the smaller cost stood in front of him. I was wrong, Oven said. Sten waited. Oven understood. I was wrong, Sten. The apology passed through every mirror. That public defeat hurt Oven more than losing the trial. The students had heard the headmaster speak a summons name. By evening, contracts in 3 card halls had been rewritten to include the right of refusal. Jarek found me outside the gallery. His eyes were still red, and his famous cape had been cut into strips for bandages. You could have taken the banner first, he said. Yes. You would have won faster. I won with everyone alive. He looked toward his injured summons. My brother needs an imperial healer. First place was supposed to buy the contract. Then keep first place. You are 5th. For now. For the first time, Jarek smiled without an audience. We ate late that evening. Siva fried riverfish in a shallow iron pan until the skin became crisp. Ilara made rice with butter, green herbs, and small pieces of lemon. Gavin warmed bread beside the forge. Sten poured honey tea into heavy cups and claimed that the repaired kettle improved the flavor. Siva told him metal did not improve honey. They argued for 10 minutes and drank 3 cups each. Ilara had burned one hand in the gallery. I changed the cloth around it while she held still. You went back for the banner, she said. We needed Sten. You entered the gas before you knew you could win. People were trapped. Her fingers closed lightly around mine. That is what I saw on the first day, she said. Before I could ask what she meant, every bell in the academy rang once. The workshop doors slammed shut. Silver lines appeared across the floor. They matched the bars on Corvin's hidden plan. One passed directly under our table and continued through the wall. A voice came from the city mirrors. A man in a white imperial coat stood at the main gate. Soldiers filled the road behind him. His name was Tarek, and he carried the seal of the Imperial Summoning Council. By emergency order of the throne, he announced, all specialist summons, production buildings, and command abilities within this academy are now Imperial property. The silver line under our feet became a bar of light. Then, the academy locked every gate. The fourth day began before sunrise, because nobody inside the academy had slept. Silver bars covered every entrance. They were not solid metal. Swords passed through them. Hands did not. Each bar reacted to the command mark carried by a summon or a hero. Students without active contracts could leave. Summons could not. Commanders who tried to cross felt their links tighten around their chests. The academy had become exactly what Corvin's plan showed. A cage. Tarek entered through the main gate at dawn. The bars opened for his imperial seal. 40 silver guards marched behind him, followed by 6 brass hounds with contract chains in their mouths. He came to the central court on a golden moving platform. 4 wheels carried it, but the platform was so large that it needed 12 soldiers to help it turn. Tarek stood above everyone in a white coat with gold shoulders. Jarek whispered beside me, "He travels with his own floor." Perhaps the ground refused him. More than 5,000 people watched through the city mirrors. The academy students filled every balcony. Merchants, cooks, guards, instructors, and summoned workers crowded behind the bars. Tarek wanted an audience. So did I. He opened a sealed decree. 3 border towns were destroyed last month, he said. The Eastern Army lacks weapons and medicine. Terran has created a production force that can change the war. Personal preference cannot stand above national survival. His reason was real. I had seen the casualty lists posted beside the gate. More than 2,000 people had died. Tarek did not want my workshop because he hated furniture. He wanted control because he believed only the Empire could use power correctly. That belief had built the bars around us. I offer Terran a captain's title, 500 gold, and command of 1 Imperial factory, Tarek continued. His masters and designs will pass to the council. Refusal will be treated as theft of national property. The crowd reacted to the 500 gold. It was more money than most students would earn in 10 years. Tarek smiled down from his private floor. You began this week with nothing. Accept, and you will become a noble. Do Gavin, Sten, and Siva receive a choice? I asked. Tools do not choose their owner. The court became quiet. Tarek had not watched Oven's apology carefully enough. Sten lifted his hammer. Siva lifted a bottle. Gavin lifted a chair leg because it was the closest object. The silver guards lowered their spears. I refuse, I said. Tarek's smile remained, but the skin around it tightened. Then the council will remove your command mark. He raised his seal. The bars across the court became bright. Pressure closed around my chest. The shared profession links shook. The forge fire dropped. The laboratory bottles turned cloudy. 9 workers fell to one knee. The academy was pulling command power toward its center. Our battle value fell from 420 to 310. The number appeared in the mirror. People shouted. The betting boards outside the gate changed at once. My chance of resisting the council fell to 1 in 20. Tarek's platform rolled closer. The first architect built this academy for moments like this, he said. Every summon inside these walls belongs to the crown. Alara stepped in front of me. Corvin built the walls, she said. You do not know why. Tarek looked down at her green work coat. An academy mechanic should not interrupt state business. I am an engineer. You repair doors. Alara removed the brass lens from her eye. Under it was a thin silver mark shaped like a compass. The same mark appeared on Corvin's plan. Bad doors, she said, are only walls that have forgotten their job. The crowd laughed. Tarek stopped smiling. Ilara turned to me. You need a master who understands the cage. The system requires a willing master. Then ask me. The court, the mirrors, and the Imperial guards watched us. I asked her the same question I had asked Gavin. Do you want to work with me? Alara looked at the trapped summons behind the bars. Yes. The fourth link opened. Alara became the unique engineering master of my army. She was not a card summon, but the class had never required one. It required skill, consent, and a living person willing to teach. Shared profession reached every compatible worker. 15 men raised their heads at once. They saw the academy differently. The glowing bars became power lines, hinges became levers, locks became machines with inputs and weaknesses. Carpenter knowledge showed them the frames, blacksmith knowledge showed them the pins, alchemy showed them the flow of energy. Engineering connected all three. The pressure around my chest weakened. Tarek struck his seal against the platform. "Arrest them!" The 6 brass hounds charged. Gavin threw the chair leg into the first hound's mouth. It bit down. The wooden piece opened into a locking brace. Its jaws remained wide. Sten hit the exposed jaw pin. One blow removed it. Siva rolled a gray smoke globe under the second hound. The machine lost the command scent it followed and attacked Tarek's golden platform instead. The audience roared. The remaining hounds came from both sides. Workers used shields to guide them toward 2 silver bars. Alara reversed a floor relay. The bars moved sideways and caught 4 brass bodies between them. All 6 hounds stopped within 20 seconds. Our battle value returned to 420, then climbed to 510 as the engineering skill settled. Tarek's guards formed a wall around his platform. He looked at the mirrors and made a different choice. "Seal the outer courts," he ordered. "Remove every civilian before the full seizure." Silver bars began dropping across the market passage. Hundreds of visitors were still inside. A mother pushed her child toward the gate. 2 old merchants fell. The bars did not care whether a trapped person was part of the conflict. The city guard captain appeared on the outer mirror. "Keep that passage open," he shouted. "The guild treasury will pay 480 gold for emergency defense." The contract entered the public record. I had 320 gold at sunrise. Before entering the court, I had spent 80 on copper line, 60 on mana stones, 40 on precision tools, 8 on blank worker cards, and 12 on food. 200 gold had gone into the engineering workshop. 120 remained. The city's payment would bring the total to 600 if we succeeded. More important, hundreds of people had less than 2 minutes to escape. I summoned the 8 new workers. Our active summon count rose from 17 to 25. Each man agreed to the same terms as the others. The shared profession links entered them one after another. 25 summons moved toward the market passage. The first silver bar struck the stone. 5 workers locked a timber brace beneath it. The wood bent. Sten shouted that it would hold for 12 seconds. The crowd pushed through. The second bar fell. Engineering teams ran copper line into the floor relay. Siva poured a green solution over the hot contact. The metal cooled. Alara turned a control wheel that should have required 3 academy officers. The bar stopped at the height of a man's knee. People climbed over it. Tarek sent 12 silver guards toward us. Jarek stepped between them and the fleeing civilians. His firewolf stood beside him with new iron guards on its paws. "First-ranked students are required to defend the academy," he said. "You are defending a traitor," the guard captain replied. "Then arrest me after my brother gets his healer." 6 other combat students joined him. The mirrors showed their faces. Tarek could order an attack, but he would be ordering Imperial soldiers to cut through the Academy's highest-ranked heroes in front of the capital. He hesitated. That gave us 20 seconds. The final civilians crossed the bar. Gavin pulled the brace. It broke into 3 pieces. The silver gate slammed down behind the last merchant. The city mirror counted everyone outside. No civilian had been lost. The outer crowd began chanting my name. The sound passed through the gate and shook the court windows. The ranking crystal measured 25 linked summons, 4 active professions, certified weapons, recovery supplies, and control of the market defense line. Our battle value rose from 510 to 860. My academy rank moved from 5th to 1st. Jarek's name dropped to 2nd. He stared at the board. I waited for anger. He exhaled and rubbed the firewolf's head. "My brother will never let me forget this. Tell him your cape slowed you down. I burned that cape. The city has drawings." He looked toward the notice wall and appeared more afraid than he had inside the poison gallery. The guard captain released the emergency payment. My money rose from 120 gold to 600. Merchants outside the bars began offering timber, iron, food, and stone on credit. The same people who had canceled contracts that morning now placed our hammer mark on their stalls. The food seller changed the name of the Carpenter's Victory Sandwich to the Army Builder and raised the price again. I had not reached that class stage yet, but business did not wait for accuracy. Tarek had lost the court, the public argument, and the market gate. He still held an imperial seal and 40 soldiers. He lifted the seal again. "This academy has 12 control sectors," he said. "You opened one. I control the rest." The golden platform beneath him began to turn. Alara looked at the floor plan in her hands. "That platform sits on the main service rail." "Can you control it?" I asked. "Not from here." One worker raised his hand. He pointed to the copper line we had placed under the court during the hound attack. Alara smiled. "He can." She gave the worker 3 quick instructions. The platform turned left. Tarek struck his control lever. It turned right. The platform stopped, shook, and folded at the middle. Its golden side rails rose around the Imperial clerks. The floor tilted. 6 officials slid into a square storage space beneath Tarek's boots. The lid closed over them. Tarek remained standing on top of a golden box filled with shouting clerks. 5,000 witnesses watched him travel backward across the court. The platform entered the laundry passage. It struck a cart of white sheets. Fabric rose into the air. When the platform stopped, Tarek stood wrapped from head to boots in clean laundry. The court erupted. Even Oven laughed once. He quickly covered it with a cough. Tarek pulled a sheet from his face. His dignity had survived border negotiations, monster attacks, and 3 royal trials. It did not survive a laundry cart. "At sunrise tomorrow," he said, "the Imperial Army will enter this academy by force." He ordered his guards to withdraw. The silver bars opened for them and closed again. The public victory was complete, but nobody mistook it for safety. Imperial signal lights appeared on the hills before evening. 180 soldiers marched toward the city. 20 iron golems followed on heavy wagons. Their combined battle value exceeded 2,400. Oven joined us in the workshop without his formal coat. "I can delay the assault order until sunrise," he said. "No longer." "Why help us?" Sten asked. Oven looked at the cold binding marks around the academy. "I spent 20 years telling myself this cage was a shield. Today I watched it close on children." He gave Alara the headmaster's control key. After dark, we ate while we worked. Gavin roasted chickens over the forge flame. Their skin became brown and crisp under salt and herbs. Siva boiled corn, then covered it with butter and black pepper. Alara baked apples with honey until the fruit became soft and the workshop smelled warm even with an army outside. Nobody sat for long. Workers carried plates between the forge, the laboratory, and the new engineering bench. Jarek's students ate beside summoned laborers. Oven drank soup from a wooden cup because every bowl in the kitchen had finally broken. Alara and I shared one baked apple over Corvin's plan. "My mother said our family mark was a key," she told me. "She died believing the door had already vanished. The door is under the central tower, and the Imperial Army is above it. That makes the list longer." She leaned against my shoulder for one quiet moment. "You and your lists." At midnight, the 25 summons gathered around the chained hammer symbol. Carpenter teams lifted the false floor. Blacksmith teams removed bolts older than the kingdom. Siva dissolved a seal without touching the stone around it. Ilara connected the headmaster's key to a hidden machine. The 4 professions worked as one production line. The sealed floor opened. A staircase descended into blue darkness. At the bottom stood a round chamber. Thousands of metal lines entered its walls. In the center, an old man hung inside a column of clear crystal. Silver chains passed through his arms and chest. A wooden architect's compass floated before him. Ilara's family mark began to shine. The man opened his eyes. "Ilara," he said. She stopped breathing. He looked exactly like the portrait of Corvin, the first summoned specialist. He had been trapped beneath the academy for 120 years. Above us, the first Imperial siege horn sounded. Corvin looked at me through the crystal. "Do not let Tarek reach the crown lever," he said. "This school is only the first of 12 cages." The 5th day began with an architect who should have died before my grandparents were born. Corvin had remained awake inside the crystal for 120 years. Every gate opened through his nerves, and every binding order passed through his chains. The Empire called him honored while using him as part of a machine. Ilara pressed both hands against the crystal. "Our family thought you were dead." "That was safer for the family." His voice was weak, but his eyes remained clear. The Academy's 12 sectors formed a command cage. Its crown lever could seize every summon contract inside and copy profession patterns to the capital. Corvin had built it after the council threatened his family, but he hid a second design in the walls. Every bar could turn outward. The cage could become a fortress. "Why did you never activate it?" I asked. He lifted one chained hand as far as the crystal allowed. "A building needs an architect. The crown lever reduced me to a component. I have not been recognized as a willing master since the day the chains closed." I could feel Corvin's profession beyond the crystal, but he had to be free and willing before the link could accept him. Above us, the second siege horn sounded. Ovin's voice came through the control pipe. The Imperial army would attack in less than 3 hours. Alara read the pressure lines while Sten cut the chains. Siva fed recovery liquid through a glass tube, and Gavin built a frame to catch Corvin. When the third chain broke, Tarek sent pressure through the machine. The crystal cracked. Corvin's heart stopped. Siva ordered Sten to cut the last chain. Gavin caught the old man, and Siva forced recovery liquid into his lungs. The third siege horn sounded before Corvin coughed blue fluid across Sten's apron. "You are alive," Sten said. "Do not do that again." We carried him to the workshop as dawn turned the sky gray. Imperial banners covered the northern hill. I placed Corvin in the strongest chair Gavin had made. "Do you want to work with me?" I asked. The old architect looked at Alara. He looked at the 25 summons preparing defenses. Nobody held a chain. Nobody raised an ownership seal. "I have waited 120 years to be asked," he said. "Yes." The fifth professional link opened. The system voice changed my class name from Commander of Summons to Army Builder. It gave me no new miracle. Shared profession remained my only ability. That was enough. Architecture spread through every compatible summon. 25 workers looked across the academy and understood that its 12 towers formed one enormous machine. I bought 14 final blank worker cards from the academy store and summoned them beside the workshop. Corvin became the 40th active summon in my command. We spent real money because knowledge could not turn air into walls. 200 gold bought iron and timber. 150 bought mana stones. 100 bought stone, rope, oil, and transport. The 14 cards cost 14. Food and bandages cost 36. I spent 500 of my 600 gold before breakfast. 100 remained. City wagons brought beams, food, water, and repaired armor. Malric drove the first wagon. Sten tested his new alloy, called it good, and made the square man smile hard enough to bend his beard. Ovin opened the civilian service tunnels. Jarek organized combat students along the inner wall. Siva placed recovery stations in 3 courts. Gavin turned the market passage into a maze of folding barriers. Alara connected the copper network to Corvin's hidden controls. The 40 summons worked through all 5 professions. Their direct battle value rose from 860 to 1,130. The fortress added another 770 in defensive force. Our full defensive value became 1,900. The number appeared above the central tower. People across the city cheered. Then the Imperial Board displayed Tarek's force beside it. 2,400. The cheering became quieter. Tarek had 180 soldiers, 20 iron golems, 6 contract officers, and the crown seal. We had workers, students, a school that had spent a century trying to imprison us, and 100 gold. I preferred our side. At sunrise, Tarek appeared in the main mirror. He had removed the laundry sheet. A tall, armored command tower now carried him, and no part of it could fold. "Last offer," he said. "Open the gates. The specialists will serve at the front. The students will be pardoned. Terran will receive 100 gold instead of 500. Your offers are getting worse. So is your position." Behind him, 20 golems lowered their iron heads. Every city mirror showed the 2 numbers, 1,900 against 2,400. The betting stalls gave us a chance of 1 in 9. Tarek lifted the crown seal. "Advance." 3 golem strikes opened the northern wall. Corvin refused to reinforce it. Gavin called it a bad crack, but Imperial soldiers charged through and discovered a narrow channel hidden behind the stones. Jarek's wolf-heated pipes beneath their boots. Siva's teams poured water into the other end. Steam filled the channel, and the first assault retreated in less than 4 minutes. 5 golems then entered the eastern gate. Alara reversed its service rail and sent them through the laundry building under a wave of white sheets. The city laughed. Tarek changed tactics. 6 black armored collectors left his command tower. They did not attack walls or students. Each carried a chain marked with a profession symbol. They knew my weakness. Masters, I said. They are targeting the masters. The collectors split between the forge, laboratory, and central tower. Gavin dropped empty barrels on the pair attacking Sten. Siva made two others slip on liquid soap, but a third collector entered through her rear window. His chain closed around her waist and dragged her toward the silver boundary. The laboratory light flickered. Our defensive value fell from 1,900 to 1,540. Imperial soldiers saw the number and attacked again. I ran toward the laboratory. I had 0 battle spirit. My personal combat value had not improved since the first day. If the collector reached me, planning would not stop his fist. He reached me. I raised a layered shield. His fist broke the outer boards and threw me against the wall. Pain spread through my shoulder. The room turned white for one breath. The chain dragged Siva closer to the boundary. I could not overpower the collector. I pulled one wooden pin from the floor. The laboratory shelf folded forward. Hundreds of empty bottles fell around him. He lifted his arms to protect his face. Jarek's firewolf came through the door and bit the chain in half. Siva rolled away from the boundary. The laboratory light returned. Our defensive value climbed back to 1,900. Siva knelt beside me. Can you move your arm? A little. Good. It will hurt when I fix it. She poured red potion over my shoulder. She had told the truth. The audience heard me shout through the city mirror. Someone at the betting stall changed our chance from 1 in 9 to 1 in 8. Pain was apparently persuasive. The last two collectors reached the central tower. Alara blocked the stair while Gavin carried Corvin toward the upper control room. One collector struck her brass lens away. The other pushed past and seized the architect's chair. Corvin crossed the silver line around the crown lever. The architecture link vanished. Every hidden wall stopped moving. Our value fell from 1,900 to 1,130. Imperial soldiers broke the barriers, and a golem set the workshop roof on fire. 500 gold of supplies began burning as Tarek's tower entered the breach. The weakness of your army is simple, he said through the mirrors. Every profession has one neck. He climbed toward the crown lever while workers fought the fire. Alara followed, but the silver line rejected her family mark. The cage was closing inward again. Tarek entered the control room. He placed the crown seal into the lever. Silver light crossed the academy. Every summon froze, and my links tightened. In 60 seconds, all 40 summons would belong to the council. Tarek looked down from the tower. You treated tools like people, he said. That made them loyal. It did not make them free. The city and every summon heard him. Corvin remained beyond the silver line, held by two collectors. Alara looked at me through the control mirror. The link needs a willing architect, she said. Corvin is still willing. The building cannot hear him across the crown line. There were 40 seconds left. The collectors had isolated the master, but shared profession had taught basic architecture to every compatible summon. Corvin was no longer the only person who understood the building. I gave one order through the shrinking links. Reverse the bars. 39 summons moved. Carpenters pulled the wooden release arms hidden in the workshop walls. Blacksmiths struck the iron stops under the quartz. Alchemists poured cooling solution into the overheated channels. Engineers connected the copper lines. Apprentice architects turned the foundation wheels in all 12 sectors. One person could not reach Corvin. An army could reach the building around him. At 20 seconds, one wheel turned and trapped two golems. A second raised bars behind the soldiers. Gavin and Sten forced a stuck third wheel into motion. 10 seconds remained. Alara placed both hands on the main engineering line. Blood ran from a cut above her eye. The silver compass mark on her face became bright. Now, Corvin. Corvin kicked his chair against the boundary. Gavin had built it, Sten had reinforced it, Siva had protected it, and Alara had linked it to the controls. For one instant, the building heard its architect. Corvin shouted one word, outward. The 12 foundation wheels turned together. The academy changed direction. Silver bars that had faced the students rotated toward the Imperial army. Walls opened beneath the golems and closed above them. Courtyards became boxes, bridges lifted, gates separated Tarek's officers from their soldiers. The crown lever tore itself from Tarek's hands. His armored command tower stood on the largest service lift in the academy. Alara pulled one control handle. The lift rose. Tarek's tower climbed above the central court, above the roofs, and above the highest city mirror. 4 construction arms closed around it like the bars of a birdcage. The entire capital saw the Imperial commander hanging in the sky inside his own tower. The countdown stopped at 1 second. Shared profession returned at full strength. Corvin crossed back over the line. Architecture awakened across all 12 sectors. Our defensive value became 1,900 again. Tarek's force remained stronger on paper. It no longer stood together. 180 soldiers had been divided into 12 stone courts. 20 golems lay in service pits or laundry rooms. Their officers could not reach them. Jarek raised his repaired spear beneath the hanging tower. "Do you want to continue?" he called. Thousands of students and city residents repeated the question. Tarek looked down at the bars around him. He had wanted one production army to save the border. Now the production army controlled his food route, weapon route, command route, and only safe path home. He understood logistics. "Stop the attack," he ordered. The Imperial soldiers lowered their weapons. The city erupted. Bells rang from every tower. People climbed onto roofs. The betting stall paid so many winning tickets that its owner sat under the counter and stared at the wall. Oven activated the capital mirror before Tarek could close it. Corvin appeared in every academy hall across the empire. "My name is Corvin," he said. "I was summoned as an architect. The council chained me beneath this school for 120 years. He showed the marks in his arms. Alara displayed the 12-cage plan. Oven added the headmaster's seal and the maintenance records. Tarek could not call it a false report while hanging inside the machine that had imprisoned Corvin. Messages arrived from border officers, trade guilds, and 3 royal judges. Other academies tested their walls, and summoned specialists demanded written contracts. The council ordered the mirrors closed, but too many people had already seen. Under the city's emergency defense law, Tarek had to sign a withdrawal and recognize my company as an independent command. He did it inside the hanging tower while 7,000 local witnesses watched. Then Sten made him ask please before Alara lowered the lift. The Imperial field chest contained 1,500 gold. The city awarded it to our company for defending the gates and repairing the northern wall. I had 100 gold left after construction. The payment raised our money to 1,600. The Academy Board removed my student rank and replaced it with the title Independent Commander. Oven ended the bonded card contracts. Gavin, Sten, Siva, and Corvin signed as free masters. The common workers received wages, rooms, and a share in everything they produced. Jarek remained the first-ranked combat student. His brother received a healing contract from Siva, who charged 7 gold because Jarek had once laughed at Gavin. "You charged 5 gold yesterday," Jarek said. "That was before your wolf broke my laboratory door." He paid 7. By evening, the burning workshop had been repaired. 40 summons, 70 storehouse families, academy students, and city workers rebuilt it together. The new roof was higher. The forge had 3 anvils. The laboratory had a locked purple shelf that nobody touched. We held a feast in the central court. Whole pieces of beef roasted over long iron fires. The outside became dark and crisp, while the center stayed soft. Pots of onion gravy simmered beside baked carrots covered in butter and herbs. Gavin cut fresh bread from the stone ovens. Siva served apple tarts with honey and warned everyone that taking a 3rd piece would require medical supervision. Sten took a 3rd piece. Corvin sat beside Alara under an open sky for the first time in 120 years. She held his hand and listened while he named family members he had never met. I stood at the edge of the court with my arm in a sling. Alara came to me carrying 1 plate and 2 forks. "You spent 500 gold in 1 morning," she said. "We earned more. You burned the first workshop. We built a larger one. You turned my academy into a fortress. It was already a cage." She gave me 1 fork. "What is next on the list?" Before I could answer, the ground beneath the court began to glow. Corvin stood so quickly that his chair fell backward. The hidden black plan rose above the tables. The symbol of our academy had changed from a closed cage to an open fortress. Then another point appeared far to the east. Another appeared in the north. One after another, 11 distant academies lit across the map. Their bars were still facing inward. The feast became silent. A final imperial message formed above the map. It carried no name, only the black crown seal of the summoning council. The first cage had changed its owner, and the empire was sending someone who had never lost a hero.